Mark and Marie, I want to thank you for taking the time to go through this with us. I know that we've talked about this a few times before now, and I know it's not the most pleasant thing to go through, or rather, I know it wasn't the. I want to thank you for being here with us. I know that the experience that we're about to talk to wasn't the most pleasant experience. So, but I think the way we want to start, if you would just run through your story from the beginning, in your own words, just give us the account of what happened to your home, and at the end we'll talk a little bit more about what you wish you had.
Okay. Well, we're pretty much over it now, but we weren't that day. And there was actually 2 fires. It was Super Bowl Sunday, and
Oh boy.
we were going to have friends over, and it was a warm January day. But my bright idea was to have a little ambiance in the fireplace, so I ran over to 7-Eleven and bought some color logs. As I'm going to put some logs in, make a Martha Stewart,
Right. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, so we went over and put them on, and she's in the kitchen doing her thing, and all of a sudden the house fills full of smoke. And Paula says,
Says, no, you didn't put the flue open.
You left the flue open
Yeah.
or closed?
she's go open the flue, and I go, look, I said, it's open. And worst thing you could do, but because it was getting smoky.
Right.
Flue's open, so I went and opened all the windows. Figured clear it out.
Oh boy.
Well, we had one of these alarm systems, big horsepower. It was actually our dream house. We bought this place to put in this big barn. I love that barn. It was a wonderful, beautiful barn, state of the art. And it was our dream house, and so we had this, at the time, a very elaborate alarm system. And the lady comes on and says, we sense there's a fire. I said, oh yeah, I think there is.
We burnt something.
Yeah, and we have a fire going in the fireplace, but there's smoke everywhere. So I said, I'll call the fire department. She said, no, get out. We'll call the fire department. I said, okay.
Okay.
So we go outside, and it's still bright idea, thinking it's a chimney fire.
You thought the creosote inside the chimney?
I just we never had a fire in the fireplace before this.
Just something inside the chimney was burning.
Well, we didn't know what it was, but I figured, well, it's a chimney fire, so I'm going to get up, hook up the hose, and put a hose down the chimney. So we go out and stand on the street, we look at the house, and smoke's coming out of everything but the chimney. It looks like a TK, like the cartoons.
Right.
It was coming out everywhere. I said, well, that's not good. So here come the firemen. And they come, and they get all robed up, and the head guy is, put a big fan at the door, and they go in, and I can tell by the conversation through the walkie-talkies, they can't find the fire.
Nothing's
Tons
burning.
of smoke, but they can't find the fire. So they get up into the attic, and they start looking to find the fire.
Of course, that smoke does a lot of damage to everything.
Oh, and that's what we're thinking. We're going to get the smoke smell out of there. I mean,
Ever was what our concern was.
Yeah, I mean, there's always smell like smoke. We hate your mind's going crazy. So excuse me. So what we did is, the driveway back to our barn, next to the house driveway to the garage. I told Paul, I said, I'm going to walk back and see what it looks like from the back. And our bedroom was at the top floor overlooking the arena and the barn, and we lived by a river, and it was really neat. And just as I get to the back, boom! And the back window blows out.
Of your bedroom?
Yeah. I mean, just like a bomb went off. So I come back and I said, I think it's a little worse than we think. So they still can't find the fire, and the guy says, we're going to have to take the roof off. So the ladders go out, and the guys get up, and they got axes. They're going to start to take the roof off.
So what blew out your window? Just the heat?
I guess.
Wow.
I guess.
Must have been at that point. Yeah.
At that point,
I
there's...
think so.
Yeah.
Well, we know it's bad.
Yeah.
But they go to take off the roof, and all of a sudden you hear, we found it. So they don't take off the roof, pouring tons of water on it, and they say, here, let us show you what happened. So the chimney to the fireplace went through our bedroom. We didn't have a fireplace in our bedroom, but the wall contained the chimney. And at that point, we looked up and there was all these holes in the ceiling where the firemen were trying to find the fire in the attic, but they couldn't see because of the smoke, and they were missing the joists, and they were falling through and coming down and crashing the counter and the bathroom. And but at the end of the day, what happened was whoever built the house left a 2x4 inside the firewall and didn't take it out. And it was there for them to put like their hammer and grab the saw and saw. And
right. Yeah.
They left it in there. And it was just there for hanging tools. In fact, I think, wasn't there a tool hanging there or something? He said, look, they left a screwdriver or something.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so now they get out and there's a lot of damage in the bedroom. And the window's blown out and there's a lot of water. But downstairs is pretty good and then the basement's pretty good. And we say to the guy, you know, well, we're going to go ahead and we'll get a hold of the insurance. He says, hey, you can't stay here.
Yeah.
He says, you can't stay here. And I said, really? I said, we got horses and downstairs is okay. And I'm kind of, you know, I'm in a little bit of shock anyway. And I'm kind of getting an attitude.
It's hard to think clearly when something like that happens.
And the guy tells us, he says, look, if I come here and you're here, I'm going to arrest you. You know. He says, it's Sunday, it's Super Bowl Sunday, your insurance isn't going to be available today, just go get them tomorrow, come down, this happens all the time. And we were wearing sweats. I mean, we were in sweats because we were getting ready.
Of course, you were just hanging out.
Sunday morning. Yeah.
We spent most of the day at the house because we had to get the animals off the property because there's no water to the property or any utilities at all.
Yeah.
So we spent most of the day getting our animals out, getting them taken care of, calling our friends to come pick them up.
Yeah.
Well, no, what we had to do is we had to go get water and hay and get them fed because we tried to get people to come pick them up because that's how they got hurt. Yeah. Our horses ended up getting hurt because there's a second fire coming here.
That's right, that's right.
Jeez.
So what happened was, we were ready to go, and I said, well, let us take some of this stuff. And they took out the front door, so they boarded it up. And I said, can we take some of this stuff that's good? He says, don't touch nothing, because the insurance company's going to want to see it just like it is. And our very best friend, we called her Paul's best friend, and she came over and said, I don't care what the guy says, at least go get your wedding ring. So we had to pair our sweats on and her wedding ring, and we go stay at a hotel.
Boy.
So, and we're in a bit of a shock right then.
Yeah, yeah.
And we just thought, God, we'll never get the smell. What do they do? Do they go through and repaint the house? You know, no one's telling us anything because we haven't talked to anybody except the fire marshal. And I didn't know this, but everybody shows up. The power people, the water people. I mean, everybody converges on your house and they shut everything down. The gas people, everything's shut.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been very nice to stay there anyway.
Yeah. But we had, had our animals and stuff. So anyway, we go and we get water from the neighbor, water the horses, because we had automatic waters in the barn. We had automatic watering fountains for the horse, but everything was shut off. So we got buckets of water, got them fed, go stay at the hotel. I'm brushing my teeth the next morning, and my friend calls and says, hey, Mark, your house burnt down. I said, oh, no, it wasn't as bad as you're thinking. Geez. He says, no, turn on the news. Your house burnt down. He said, they got all 13th West shut down. There's 5 fire trucks there. And what happened was...
Now you're really sorry you didn't take just a couple of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're still at the hotel.
Right.
So we drive back, and they tell us that a lady 5 miles away got up to give her child cough medicine who was sick. And
could see your house glowing in the night.
Well, it said, gosh, you're bright outside for 3 a.m. And our alarm system has a battery to it, but only 13 hours. And the battery went dead, and so there was no...
Sure.
The thing was in flames. Our neighbors had 200-300 feet high flames. And they were just trying to save the houses around. So she tells her husband, the house is on fire. you better go there and see what's going on. So he goes over, not knowing we're not there. And God bless the guy. We had these big S lamps, those things that were real popular in the day, were iron. They'd hook to the garage, and
Yep.
and then there'd be a big bulb.
Yep.
His adrenaline is so big, he rips one of those out and throws it through the window to try to get in. And that's when the fireman showed up and said, "Don't go in there." He said, "I think there's people in there." He said, "Well, if they are."
It snowed that night lightly.
If
Right.
there
And
are
you could
people
see
in
that
there,
we
they
didn't have anything going in or out.
Yeah.
Since the snow fell.
Yeah,
Oh,
so it burned down. I mean, it
What
burned
was the
down.
second? What was the second source?
They said that, and it was really interesting because as soon as we got there, they took her in a car and took me in a car,
They're investigating the arson.
and so we just tell them what happened, where we were at, and they said that there must have been a kindling behind the tile in one of the bathrooms upstairs, which I don't know how they could track because there was no upstairs. but they said it rekindled, and I thought, well, and the fireman said, they punch in on their laptop,
Right.
and he said, as soon as we got the address, he thought, "Oh no," and they said, "We could see the flames from the fire station when we left."
Wow.
And they felt really bad. I mean, these guys were sweating, dripping. I mean, they'd been working all night. This is like 8:39 in the morning
When we finally found out about it and showed up.
because it was a Monday morning. We're gonna go to the insurance
Right.
and grab them and go over. That's what we were gonna do.
Right.
So now the house is burned down,
Now you're done.
and we're thinking, "Oh, what do we do?" I don't know if this is important to the story, but a little side note that you'll get a kick out of, maybe. We do now because it worked out okay. But
It's always funny years later.
Later.
When we first built the barn, because we bought the property because we wanted to put a barn on it. It was horse property.
Right.
We built this barn. And we called State Farm, our insurance company. And we said, "Hey, come on out. We got a barn for you to insure." The guy comes out and says, "We can't do that." He said, "This is out of our league, our realm. You got to call Farm Bureau. You got to call someone that does barns." So we call Farm Bureau. Farm Bureau comes out and says, "Hey, yeah, we do that. That's exactly what we do." So our insurance premium was taken out of our house payment every month.
Right.
So he says, "Just call him, tell him to send it to us now." So we did. A month later he calls, and this was like 6 months before the house burned down. 8 months before, wasn't it? Maybe even. But anyway,
Not that long.
maybe 6 months. Anyway, he calls me a couple months later and says, "We're not getting a check. We're not getting it. They're still sending it to State Farm." I said, "Well, I'll bring you a check over right now, today." He says, "Oh no, this happens all the time. Just call them again. You got to kind of light a fire under them." Bad metaphor. So anyway.
Pun intended.
Yeah, pun intended. So, I call him again. He calls me in a couple months. Says, "They're still sending it to State Farm." I said, "Well, let me send you a check right now. I want to make sure we're covered." No, just call him one more time. Three's the charm. He calls me on the Friday before the house burns down and says, "We never got the money. Maybe you ought to send a check." And I said, "I'll bring it over to you. I'll bring it to you right now." He says, "No, just mail it." Paula writes out the check, stamps it, because this is like Friday.
Right.
And I said, "Okay, we'll mail it." Puts it on the counter, and the house burns down. And we're standing out there looking at each other.
Saying it's our whole life just gone.
Are we insured? We didn't even know we were insured. So they came out, and they were really good about it, actually, at first, because what they did is they came out and said, "Look, you got to have a place to stay," so they got us arranged for a furnished apartment.
Right.
2-bedroom apartment, and our kids were at the age where my son was off following the Grateful Dead, actually. I could kill him, but anyway, he was doing that. And our daughter was old enough, she stayed with my brother, and because she has senior year.
That's where the insurance company does the normal thing, and they step in and make sure you've got a place to stay.
Yeah.
they set you up with the initial package.
Yeah. Well, and they said, and so they started explaining to us how it works. And they says, you've got to sit down and tell us everything that you lost in the fire. And I'm telling you, when I show you the picture, I mean, there's just nothing there. I mean, there's just a few 2x4s and some of the brick left. I mean,
you'd be lucky if anything in the heap was worth keeping, even if it survived the flames.
And you know what? Oddly enough, there was some stuff in the basement. I found out ashes are a good insulator. So some of the stuff had so much debris and ashes on it, I guess the fire would come and say, well, I can't burn that, go find something else, is the way they explained it to us.
But then there was water damage.
But there was so much water,
you never have just fire.
They said there was 2 fire trucks out front, 2 in the driveway going back to the barn, and 1 in the arena pouring water on this. So everything was just a mess. So they tell us you have to, and this is when it was the deer in the headlights for us, because they said you have to go out and buy stuff and give us the receipts and we'll reimburse you.
So they wanted you to go out and spend your money.
Yeah, they gave us, but they didn't hand us anything. And here's where, in talking to you, I thought, I've always had this idea in my mind: can't someone provide what we came up with? Which, the first thing we went and bought a computer. Remember, we went down and bought a computer, and she got on there and made a little book that said at the top of the first page, kitchen.
Yeah.
And then we had to sit there and think, well, how many forks did we have? How many knives did we have? I mean, it was daunting. It was overwhelming.
So you guys had to sit down and try in, how many days did the adjuster give you?
90 days.
So he tried to get you to do it in 90 days. He wanted you to recall what you had built over 20 years. He wanted you to recall in 90 days.
Yeah, it was about 20 years, wasn't it? How long were we married then?
Oh, yeah, probably about 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 20.
So and then they said if you don't buy new, our policy, according to what he told us, our policy said was we have to replace it to be replacement or better.
Yeah.
I said, okay, that's great. But if you don't replace it, you get 60% of the devaluation. But here's where it became really just overwhelming, because the way we had to do it was we put on the sheet all the stuff we could remember. Then when we went and bought it.
Oh, you meant the depreciation.
The depreciation.
60% of the depreciated value.
Yeah.
Right.
What'd I say? Whatever it was it even a word? Because she gets on me sometimes about making up words.
It's all right. We all do it.
Well, that's okay. So anyway,
But then the process of rebuying everything, I truly just decided it was worth it to take 6 weeks off work. So I blew all my vacation time.
So you went through all your vacation time, which has a value in and of itself.
Yeah.
You know, your time is worth a lot.
And I never thought I'd hear her say it, but she said, man, if I shop anymore, I'm going to kill something. I mean, she looked like Jack Nicholson in the final scene of The Shining some days. She was,
but 90 days isn't that long to replace your whole household.
Yeah.
Well, you're trying to replace your whole life.
Well, and here's it's stuff like this. He says, I said, what do we do about like holiday stuff, like Christmas stuff? And at that time, we had, we were into that part of our life. We had a tree in the barn and one downstairs and one upstairs, and
can't go replace all your holiday stuff if you're in the off season.
Well, it was January. It was Super Bowl. Now February.
Yeah.
And it was actually our anniversary, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Burned down on our anniversary. So Super Bowl Sunday and our anniversary. So we sat down and we would number. 1 knives, 2 spoons, 3, and everything we could possibly remember. Then when we went and bought it, we would write number 1 on the receipt. Just figuring they could cross-reference. No guidance, we just came up with that.
Which is way more than anybody usually does.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen so many of these claims, and that's just not something people usually do. It's a fantastic idea. It's way more than people usually come up with.
And that's where I thought, how
But do
about
insurance companies expect that, don't they?
The insurance company is going to take whatever you give them and would never tell you to give them more.
Oh.
Simply because before we get too far into this, I want to make plain that I don't want to say anything bad about any insurance carrier
No.
or the agents, because 9 times out of the 10 they're all very diligent in what they do. But the fact is, if you take somebody that does something 1,000 times a year and somebody who's never done it once, by virtue of the fact that he's done it so often that it's second nature, he will end up taking advantage of you. And so you provide something that you think is fantastic, and then he's just used to taking whatever people give him and working it out. You lucky if he even says that it's more than he usually gets, and then he'll take off with it. He's not going to remind you that you had 7 Christmas trees, right? If you didn't put any Christmas trees on the list, he won't remind you that you didn't put a Christmas tree on there, right?
Well, and that's what we were looking for. We wanted something that
We kind of prompt our memory a little bit.
yeah, just to say, because what happened was there was things we forgot. I think we added it up, and now thinking back after
So now
it was
you're
all
talking
settled,
about years down the road, you're
no,
starting to add up.
this was just like 5 months, 6 months down the road.
6 months down the road?
Because what happened was our daughter's senior trip was going to be to Moab, Utah.
You wanted something that you forgot about.
Oh, we forgot all about the camping stuff, the sleeping bags and the water coolers and hiking crap and all that stuff and all the horse stuff. I mean, what was frustrating is there was nothing provided. I got to tell you, we have no qualms with the insurance company because they're really good to us. But it's like what you said, they just,
They have their system.
They have their system, and
Their system is designed to protect
Yeah.
them and their company.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. They're in business to make money, but at the same time, what's in their best interest is not what's in your
Yeah.
best interest.
Well, see,
And-
and that's what we thought would be a good. Having done what we did, we thought, man, wouldn't that be great if someone could go to a company and say, keep my inventory for me. Every time I buy something, I'm going to send it to you, and you keep it in the cloud or whatever's out there.
Right.
Then we're limited on computer knowledge, but you could store it somewhere else. Well, after years later, I said, there ought to be a company out there that says, we can help you be prepared for a disaster.
Imagine that.
And the preparation would be that we will inventory your house.
Well, and we're going to get into that a little bit more, but the truth is that that's only half of the equation.
Yeah.
It's a very important half, but what really needs to happen is you need a proper, itemized, and valued list of everything you own that in this day and age is video documented or photo documented as well. Back in the day, it might not have been as big an issue that you not have videos and pictures, but nowadays it's so inexpensive and so easy to do that if you're going to make an argument for a claim on Aunt Susie's heirloom brooch that you had in your jewelry box, you'd better have a picture of it.
It's interesting you say that because when they came to us and it was time to rebuild the house, it wasn't a luxury home, but it wasn't a starter home. And according to them, they were saying this is the one that we really have to do extra work on because we're not sure what you replaced. Because you know how you're in a house and you put in granite countertops after a while and wood floors. They asked us, did you have crown moldings? Well, we knew we had them in some of the rooms.
We just started searching for you. Which rooms?
So you didn't even remember where you had crown molding, you said?
No, that's what I thought. I said, what this talking after? I've always had this idea that how valuable it would be for somebody like us to take with our county. This is back in the day you had the handheld,
The huge ones.
the huge ones, and then it went smaller and smaller, because we bought every one because of the horses, because we'd go film our kids showing the horses. But we, if we could stand in a room and just pat them, because what we found out was, what they were really worried about, they could tell there was a piano there, because they could see the
They
wires.
can see the big stuff.
And they knew there was the stuff that burned down, but not all the way.
They could
The
tell where your
grandfather
TV
clocks,
was.
Yeah. But, like, whether or not you had 6-panel doors, or crown moldings, or wallpaper, or...
See, and now actually that's the second part of it. So that's why I say there's two parts to this. You've got the first half, which is your belongings,
Personal
your
effects,
contents,
yeah.
anything that's not attached to the home. The second half is how you've remodeled your home, and the quality of your carpet, the quality of your draperies or your wall coverings or your
kitchen cabinets.
or your wall, the
Yeah.
cabinets. Cabinets are a little easier to tell, but the point is that there's a lot to be said for having everything documented and
Yes.
itemized ahead of time, so that in the moment when you're so traumatized, because everybody can think ahead of time that they'll be with it when that
Yeah.
happens, but the truth is you're in shock, and there's something to be said for being able to call us up and say, hey, I've had a fire, or hey, I've had a flood and I need your help. We'll be on site within the hour, or we'll call your adjuster for you and make the phone call, and we'll tell the adjuster, give us your email address, we'll have you an itemized list within 15 minutes, because everything that you've got that was renewed the last year, all you have to do is add a few things to it.
Yeah.
and send it over to the adjuster, and then you're finished. You don't have to do any of the you don't have to worry about the adjuster at all, because that's all what we do. And that first part that you spent weeks working on, you took time off of work, you used up your vacation time for it, and burned out your shopping gene to try to replace everything.
It's hard to do.
You all of that is only the first half. And then even after that's finished, you've still got all of the minutia required to put the house back together.
Yeah.
So let's take a minute and step back, and I'll tell you what we do that's unique. There isn't anybody else out there that does what we do, and I'll explain how it would have benefited you given your situation.
Okay.
So, and there are a few different levels on how people come into the program, and we'll talk about that in depth later. But the basic program, you have a startup cost, and then you have a monthly fee of between $1 and $4 a month. So there are a few different levels of where you come in. The entry level program, if you're a renter, you have a sign-on of $24.99, and then your monthly fee is 99 cents a month. Obviously, you pay that membership on a yearly basis. Then the entry level for a homeowner, you come into the program at $59.99, and then your $2.99 a month. And even at the entry level, you get, we'll walk you through how to itemize everything in your home. There are several different ways that we prompt you to account for everything in your home. Most items in your home, the insurance company is going to have established values for. They have a very extensive database and know how much most things cost. And we'll explain the process for if you have an antique, something that has a unique value. It's simple to document, and once we include that and we photograph what you have, it's not something that you have to ever worry about arguing with them about the value for. When something's burnt up and gone, it's real hard. It's very difficult to explain to an adjuster, how much this is worth. It's been in your family for 200 years or something of that nature.
Yeah.
You've documented it, you've established a value for it, and then it only has to be done that one time. So you've got a little bit of homework up at the beginning, and then all along the way, as long as you're involved in the program. If you have questions about something, if you have a small flood and you're wondering whether or not it's an insurance claim, you call us. We'll either consult with you over the phone at no cost, or we'll come out and investigate the claim and evaluate whether or not it needs to be dealt with your insurance company. And if it doesn't, we'll give you pointers on how to deal with it. Though it's, of course, no cost. And then if it is something that has to be a claim, you have an advocate who's there for you, who's worried about what's in your best interest, and who will be able to take that claim from the very first phone call with the adjuster right through to the last drop of paint, till the last subcontractor is paid, till the last dime is collected from the insurance company. Because what frequently happens, so you've got the first half, and we've talked at length about that. You know, you've the trauma of what can happen if you don't take the time to prepare ahead of time. It's hard to overstate how difficult that is. And that's just the first half. But then the second half, if you have a claim and you don't have anybody there for you, as the industry goes, what usually happens is you call your adjuster or your agent. In most cases, you call your agent before you even find out there's a company like mine, and your agent or your insurance company sends out a national competitor. That national competitor is hired by your insurance company. They're there to look after themselves and their customer, who is the insurance carrier. Not you folks, unfortunately. Even though they may be working in your home, they're not necessarily looking out for you. The alternative is to hire a contractor that you've hired independently that doesn't give a rip what happens to you and your insurance. They don't care how that plays out or whether or not you even get enough money. They're going to give you a bill, and if you don't have enough to pay them, I think we all probably have enough of imagination, or we can all figure out what's going to happen if there's not enough money to pay their bill. So our job, working for you, is to ensure, number one, that nobody walks all over you and that your needs are met, because you have a contract with your insurance carrier that tells them in no uncertain terms what their obligations are. And it is not to take a discount provider, it's not to take the cheapest replacement, and it's not to take a negotiated settlement for what you need to make yourselves whole again. They're required to restore you to a pre-loss condition, meaning they need to either put your home back to the way it was or replace it. And it doesn't matter if values of your home has gone up. It doesn't matter if your carpet was 29 years into an expected 30-year lifespan. They're required to replace that and put your home back to the way it was in the beginning. And, you know, there are all different levels. There's all different intensities of emergencies. But the truth is, you really can't overstate how important it is to have somebody there who's fighting for you, who knows the ins and outs of the industry and knows when somebody is trying to pull a fast one, or knows when somebody is just neglecting to tell you the way it really is, or what you need to do, or what you need to know. So from start to finish, our company takes care of you and ensures that your home is properly valued, your contents are properly valued. You can spend time with your family and spend time with what needs to be dealt with. We'll deal with your insurance adjuster as your representative, as your advocate from start to finish, to ensure that there isn't anything left out, there isn't anything that you have to worry about. For the peace of mind in the beginning of $100, or between, if you're a renter, of course, it's about $25 and $12 a month. If you're a homeowner, it's anywhere from $60 to sign up to, depending on what level of program, to $100 to sign up, and anywhere from $2.99 to $4.99 a month, to ensure that you don't lose out on how many?
$2.99 a month?
Yep, yeah. $2.99 a month. Thank you for clarifying that. So anywhere from $2.99 a month to $4.99 a month, to ensure that you're taken care of. And how much we kind of talked about it. We never really got around to talking about how much you think you lost when you went through your process with your home when it burnt down. Years later, looking back on it, when you consider everything that was in the barn, all of the camping things, how much do you think you lost out on?
$70,000.
Yeah, about 70. When we put a pencil to it, it was about 70. But then even later,
You keep adding to it.
Well, it's odd because you'll be driving and you'll be stuck in traffic, and a song or a smell in the air makes you go back, or a fire truck goes by, and then you start thinking about it.
You still don't know
and
how
then
much.
You say, so, but we know there was 70 grand that we ended up just not making claims on, and we thought it was closed. And I'll tell you, you hit on something that, for this point alone, to be able to have someone help you be clear-eyed.
Yeah.
That's the thing that, because it's frustrating. You don't sleep well because you're just in this stupor. You're in this stupor that
You're in shock.
Well, and through the whole process, because we both like to be organized. Organizational skills running wild.
I can tell.
We want to have these things organized, but you can't organize what you don't know, and that was the thing that we just never felt like we had control of it. So a company like this would, that peace of mind and making you clear-eyed. I'll tell you another thing that happened to us that was frustrating was we had to actually sit down. Remember, we sat down and thankfully we were in a position to pull it off. But we actually sat down at our rented dining room table, which was really quite small. But we got all our credit cards and put them on the table, and had to have some kind of.
So you ran up your own credit.
Oh yeah, we had to, any given time on each of them, $30,000 to $40,000.
See, that's another thing that you shouldn't have to do. Shouldn't have to go
Well,
through.
I tell you what was worrisome about it, and this speaks to the clear-eyed part. We wanted to make sure, because here's our Visa, here's our MasterCard, here's our American Express, but then you had your specific cards. Your Macy's, and back in the day, ZCMI.
Your department store cards.
Yeah, we thought, well, we want to make sure we didn't use the American Express to buy clothes when we could use the ZCMI card or Nordstrom's card to buy that.
Right.
And then you get a little nervous. You get nervous because you think, geez, if we run out of money here, then we're going to be paying 60% of the depreciated.
Right.
Did I say it right that time?
Yeah.
Not sure, huh?
Depreciated
value. Things that you couldn't replace, you would have only been able to get the depreciated value.
So we thought, well, we don't, because my worry is if we put all the clothes on and and especially the horse stuff. We had one side of our daughter's bedroom closet were these blankets that have to match, and she knows more about that stuff, but it was real fancy stuff.
They were a unique specialty item.
Yeah.
That had probably a little bit higher than average price tag associated with them.
Yeah.
That's one thing the adjuster would question us about.
Yeah.
He didn't believe that.
Of course, if you've got a picture of it ahead of time, then there's no argument.
Exactly.
Right.
Just inventoried. I went to private school my whole life, and we had to wear a tie every day.
Right.
And I just saved them over the years, and then my job demanded I wore a tie every day. So I have literally got 40, how old was 40 when it burned down?
It's hard
42?
to explain to your adjuster
For
that you've
40
got
years
400 ties.
Well, and it's not that I needed them, but I thought, well, I had them. So
Doesn't matter, you had them.
But see, that speaks to the clear-eyed part, where if you had just someone to grab your hand and say, look, I'm walking you through this, and I'm going to make it so that you can take a breath, that you can.
And here's the other thing to
that's the
remember
thing.
too. Here's the other thing to remember about our program. It doesn't matter if you're enrolled in the program for 2 years or 20 years. If you, heaven forbid, have a claim, or you have a loss, your house burns down or you have a flood, if for any reason you're not happy or you're not completely satisfied with the service that we provide you, it's a double your money back guarantee. So if you go through your claim and you feel like you're not happy with the service, or somebody rubbed you the wrong way, or didn't treat you with the respect that you're due, whatever you've invested in the program, you'll get double that money returned to you. That's our guarantee. That's how much we believe in our program and what we can do for the homeowners.
You know, this is such a needed service, and I'll tell you why. We had a great support group.
Family and friends.
But they didn't have any answers. They didn't know. They didn't know any better than us.
Even people that have been through the problem, even people who have experienced the loss, they don't know. Well, they know what they need.
Yeah.
They know what they wish they had, just like you folks. You know what you wish you had, but you don't know where to turn. You don't know where to go.
I mean, people love and care for you in that, and that was great. But you just feel kind of, because it's just such an unknown.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things you don't prepare for, because it always happens to somebody else.
Yep.
And it happened to us, and it just, I'll tell you what, it's the best diet I've ever been on. I think we both lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And most people would say just the opposite.
You don't eat
right. They gained weight because they
you
ate fast
don't eat
food.
right, you don't sleep right, you don't poop right. I mean, everything is going sideways on you. It's terrible. And so we just to have that service to give you that peace of mind. And what's interesting about this is you'll never know how valuable it is till you need it. And I don't know how you quantify that in a narrative. I don't know how you say it. And I hope people listen to you and get it, because you don't realize what a relief it would be until you needed it. Because you can't even. I mean, this is one of these things you can't even imagine.
Well, it's something we try to keep the initial investment low enough that it's something
it's doable.
Even a renter can do.
Yeah.
Even a rent. You know, if the apartment building burns down, you bet that landlord had insurance on, but they don't give a rip about what you had in terms of the contents of your apartment. And if you don't have renter's insurance, and sometimes even if you do have renter's insurance, it can be a long, hard road to be made whole.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what we do. We manage that process for you. So,
and I think that you had on a good point too about just not knowing how to manage the claim, and so you didn't know. God, are we going to run out of money?
Right.
Are we going to owe $100,000 on this
new
house that we're getting?
You shouldn't have to worry about running out of money, because the truth is that the adjuster and the insurance company are supposed to be there so that you aren't put out. You know, obviously you've gone through something that's traumatic. You're in shock. You've lost your house. You've lost everything that you've spent 20 years building and accumulating. The last thing you want to have happen is late at night on a Friday night, you figure out that you've used your credit cards to try to replace your belongings, and you don't have money to go get dinner.
Yeah, or gas.
You know?
And that's the thing that I was worried about. You know, here's another quirky part of it that we were told we had 90 days to replace everything, but they didn't even tear the house completely down. And I thought they just come bulldoze it. They don't do it like that. They take it piece by piece and chronologically.
Well, they've got their
everything. They got their rhythm.
They've got their investigation. They're going to investigate for arson. There's
the method.
The adjuster is going to be in there.
But what do you do with all the stuff you buy for 90 days? So we actually had to buy stuff so we could get the receipt, but then pay to keep it at the furniture store and the appliance store and
one of the things
because we had nowhere to put it.
One of the things you'll figure out as you go through the program, that's not the natural order of things. That's not the way it's supposed to or is needs to go.
Well, would our policy said that?
That's something that your adjuster, and again, not saying anything bad about your adjuster, but the adjuster's inclination is to try to get the paperwork across his desk as fast as possible. The truth is, if you took 6 months to do it, and then turned in what you thought you could do, and then a month later wanted to add something to it, that's all par for the course. He's required to deal with that. That's just the nature of his job. You know, it's anybody that would sit down, a couple that's been married for 20 years and say, remember everything that you purchased and put in your house for the last 20 years and do it in in 60 or 90 days, that doesn't make any sense. That's somebody that is that's somebody who is based on lack of understanding of your needs, or being too tunnel visioned on their own needs. They just haven't taken a look at what you're going through. They aren't considering enough what your needs are. And so that's just a perfect example of how you need somebody there who knows the process, who knows the industry in and out, and can tell the 800-pound gorilla that he just needs to sit down and
take a breath,
eat a banana, and let you guys go through the program.
Well, I was pretty calm through the whole thing, but she got upset.
Oh, I'm sure.
No, she was great. It just was. Yeah.
Well, listen, you guys, I want to express again my appreciation for letting us be in your home tonight.
This is a good service.
And go through everything with you, and I appreciate that, of course. But tell everybody you know. I'll give you some information about how to log on to the website, and for anybody else that hears about this down the road, if they just go to the website, it's www.pacrimcr.com. That's PACRIMCR. That's www.pacrimcr.com. The website, it'll give you a link for the subscription service, and it'll walk you through from start to finish.
Wow.
And then if you have any questions, of course, the phone number's on the website. You can call in and get your questions answered anytime.